This Short Coat Podcast is a proud member of the MedEd Media Network. Inspiration, information, and guidance on your journey to medical school and beyond at mededmedia.com.
Meandering in the margins of medicine, it's the Short Coat Podcast.
Weird news,
fresh views,
helpful clues, and interviews.
By students, for students.
Subscribe to our weekly show at theshortcoat.com.
Welcome back to the Short Coat Podcast, a production of the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine. I'm Dave Etler. It's Thanksgiving in the United States, and we've got some Turkey Day nonsense, as well as an actual listener question about pre-med jobs. With me today, we've got new podcasters, PA1 Ethan Ksiazek.
Hello, everybody.
And M1 Matt Engelken.
Howdy.
And over here, we've got MD PhD student Riley Behan.
Why, hello there.
All dressed up in their buckle hats and shoes.
Pilgrim outfits.
Yes. As is traditional in America. If you're listening from overseas, I don't know if you realize this, but on Thanksgiving, it is traditional to wear black buckle hats and buckle shoes because we're fancy that way.
We're committing to the bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure you shine your shoes all nice and such. Have your buckles really great. It's a whole thing.
I think I actually did that in grade school. Not
the buckle hats and shoes?
The buckle hats and shoes.
Yeah, for sure. We were all in a pageant that completely whitewashed American history.
Right.
Yeah, completely got the whole story
That's actually
wrong.
exactly how it went down, I think.
Yeah. You know, it'll be, as I say, it will be Thanksgiving Day when this is released, and Americans will be enjoying our traditional holiday belly fullness. It's a time for gathering with family and friends and to give thanks for the revisions to our history and mythical holiday hogwash that enable us to enjoy green bean casserole and other even more palatable things. So let's put our noobs on the spot, though. Ethan.
Yes, why don't we?
Will you answer some questions for me? I like to get to know our new podcasters. Where are you from? Where'd you go to undergrad? What made you choose your path? And what are you most looking forward to eating on Thanksgiving?
All valid questions. Yeah, so I was born in small town Nebraska and lived there for the first few years of my life.
Which town in Nebraska, Ethan? Don't try to hide your Nebraska.
Right. So the town I lived in is called Hooper, Nebraska. I think when I exited Hooper, Nebraska, it was population 400. Nice. I was like 3 or 4 years old.
So 399 after that.
Yeah, so like a big city, like the nightlife was pretty crazy.
They lost like a good percentage of their population when you left, like more so than most cities.
It was a big hit when we left.
Yeah. It was really sad for everyone involved.
I know.
Damn it,
but nonetheless, my family's been in the Des Moines area for basically my whole entire life. Ankeny, Iowa, if anyone knows.
Yeah.
But yes, basically the nexus of suburbia.
Yeah.
So it was great. But then I went to the University of Iowa for undergrad. And I'm in the PA program, like Dave said. That was kind of a late idea that popped in my head. I really didn't know what that profession entailed until maybe my junior year of college. Yeah, so I worked a little bit in the emergency room after and all that. And now I have the luxury of being here with these bright individuals.
What and the thing you're most looking forward to eating on Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So back to Nebraska lore. There's this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called a runza.
No. Hit me.
It's like a fast food deal, but so they have them popped up everywhere in Nebraska. But my grandma Ksiazek makes like a runza casserole, and basically it's just like an oniony, like normal casserole, but that's what she always makes, and we always compliment her.
I'm afraid I'm not getting a very good picture of this.
It's like a Hot Pocket, isn't it?
It's basically like a Hot Pocket.
This is all I've heard. Lore. I've never had one myself, but all I've heard is that it's a Hot Pocket.
It's kind of nebulous. I don't know if anyone knows exactly what's in it.
It's some sort of pastry with some sort of onion based filling.
I would say. I
love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. I'm really excited now.
Big time. Viewers, you can't see Dave's face, but he's very excited.
I'm very excited.
Salivating.
What about you, Mr. Matt?
Well, if we're going back all the way like you did.
Yeah, sorry.
Life history.
was born in Florida. I grew up in DeLand, Florida till I was 7. And then after that, I moved to Dubuque, Iowa, which is my dad's hometown. And a fun fact, kind of continuing to the undergrad question, before we even had a house in Iowa, my dad bought season tickets to the football games. So this is year 15 with football tickets. I can see Dave shaking his
Jesus
head.
Christ.
The priorities were straight there. I mean,
Priorities are straight. So my dad, proud Iowa alum. Here I am, proud Iowa alum.
I don't want to talk bad about your dad, but that's ridiculous. And what are you most did we get to your undergrad? Yeah, we did.
I talked about Iowa. See, what made me choose MD? My dad is a radiologist, so I grew up around in the hospital setting. Yeah. He really liked it, so it was pretty easy for me to choose, but I like to think I'm my own person, so
it's a lie, but you know.
Yeah. Jealous.
Was your father fully on board with the physician thing, or was he one of those who was like, oh, I would never tell him?
No, he was. He still wants me to be a radiologist, but I actually want to talk to people, so
yeah. You do have colleagues in radiology. You know,
I know
there is that possibility of talking to people.
He keeps saying that he talks to the techs, but I don't believe him on that. But no, I'm just, so far I've really enjoyed talking to patients, talking to other members of the healthcare community. Okay. So that's really what's driving me to want to be a physician.
Awesome. And your favorite Thanksgiving thing to eat that you will be enjoying?
I'm a big fan of mashed potatoes and gravy. Going classic.
Okay, what gravy? There's way more permutations of mashed potatoes and gravy. Chunky mashed potatoes or not, chunky gravy or not, white or brown gravy. There's a lot of options here.
All mashed potatoes are good. Okay. So we'll go with that. I'd say brown gravy is my favorite, but once again, there's no such thing as bad mashed potatoes and gravy, unless the potatoes are cooked real bad.
Yeah. I have failed at potatoes before, so
you look like you would have failed at.
I'm not a great cook, but it turns out an important lesson I learned: if you cook the potatoes and then leave them on the stove while you do other things where it's hot, but not necessarily cooking, it does turn into glue.
What?
Yes.
Glue.
It's like it turned into what I can only describe as glue. So just take them out, you stop the cooking basically is what I'm saying.
In a fun story related to cooking, my old roommate, when he was learning how to cook, decided that when the noodles were done cooking, you just leave it in the hot water, and then was shocked when they all turned out like a big old glob of overcooked noodles.
That's the sort of thing. Yeah. It's not good. And we know your stories, you guys. But Riley, what are you gonna eat for Thanksgiving that you're looking forward to?
Gosh, what am I really looking forward to? I'm a big fan of the good old classic green bean casserole. I'm a Midwest girl through and through. I love a casserole. Anything that's just thrown in a dish, I'm gonna eat it. It's the best. It's the cream of mushroom, the green beans, the crispy onions on top.
Okay,
it's all I'm looking forward to.
Okay, Noah,
I'm kind of a stuffing guy.
Yeah.
I've started last 3 years. I've made my own for it, which really fun. Use a lot of fresh herbs.
We have a sort of stuffing that's actually it's really a bread pudding, but a savory bread pudding.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a lot of cheese in it, and a lot of onions, and a lot of bread, and a lot of eggs, and just turns into a delightful.
Almost like it's sounding more like a casserole.
I mean, yeah, but it's solid.
Casseroles.
It's solid. Scoop it out.
Okay.
Solid.
What are you most looking forward to, Dave?
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's our Iowa Etler family go-to, and there's only the 4 of us in Iowa. So actually, that's not true. There are Etlers in Western Iowa who I've never met. Because ew.
Right.
Yeah, because why would you say hi to your family that's also in Iowa?
I mean, look.
Family's only fun when they're from far away.
Why would I'm going to go up to these people, they're complete strangers, and say, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm you." Is basically what I'm saying. And
I think they'll love you. I think because of that.
And they're just going to be like, "All right, liberal."
Just plug the pod in the first sentence, and they'll be
get
hooked.
Them on the podcast.
DNA is not even real.
Yeah.
What are genetics?
I mean, they don't know me. I don't know them. All we've got in common is probably a zillionth of a DNA or what do you call them? Gene. So, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. And I'm looking forward to this listener question. In September, Stephanie wrote to us about her plans to jump right from high school to sophomore in college and then right into medical school at a very young age. She's back with a question. Let's hear from Stephanie.
Hey there. So this is Stephanie. I called a few weeks ago, ? And just a little background on my story. I am a high school senior, but I'm doing early admissions at my local university, University of Central Florida. Go Knights. And I am a standing late sophomore, meaning that I'm supposed to graduate in fall of 2023, I think. And my major is neuroscience, and I want to go to med school. But I have a few questions for y'all. So I might be interested in doing an MD, PhD program, but from the people I have asked, they don't have a lot of information on what that entails through like my educational journey. Do I need a master's? What does my career look like afterwards? So yeah, if you guys could answer that for me, that'd be great. I know there's a few PhD, MD students on the podcast. And also, what kind of medical jobs can I get as an undergrad that would benefit me as a pre-med? I'm only 17 right now. So this is for when I turn 18 because I like to plan ahead, just like all good pre-med students. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Always enjoy the show. Thank you for answering my questions. Hi, Dave. Bye.
Okay. There's a lot of questions there that I sort of glossed over in the intro. Riley, as our MD, PhD student.
Yes, I am.
I'm going to rely heavily on you.
It's only fair.
For this. So I guess, first of all, there's the question of whether or not a master's degree or any sort of additional education is necessary in order to start the MD, PhD journey.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start.
Is it?
As far as master's, so a good question to start.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No. I'm gonna take back what I just said. No, master's is definitely not necessary. I personally do not have a master's. I came straight from undergrad, so I didn't have any time in between for a post-bac program or any additional research. So no, a master's is absolutely not needed. You are not expected to have a master's. You are only really expected to have some research experience, and by some I mean quite a bit of research experience, and not just kind of the typical research tech experience, but more so research as an undergrad in which you're actually contributing to the science. You're actually thinking about ways that in which you can solve the problems and work on the experiments and put yourself at the forefront of the science that is being done in a lab, as opposed to just simply kind of doing tasks for that lab. That's kind of the distinction that you'll find. I'm not 100% familiar with Central Florida, but go Knights, I'll say it for you. And so I would definitely recommend that the first thing you should do kind of once you're there is start to look for labs that you're interested in. When looking for a lab, I think I would focus on what mentors do you really see yourself jiving well with, not just the cool research that is out there. Because if you find a really good mentor that believes in you and knows you want to be an integral part of the research, like that's going to take you a lot further than just joining, quote unquote, a cool lab that's doing cool science, but also has 100 people working for it. So kind of to go back, no, master's is not necessary. Yes, research is very necessary, and would highly recommend that you kind of seek that out almost immediately once you get there, if that is something you're interested in.
And that answers the jobs question, basically, as well.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question too. Like, I think because I when I was applying initially was like considering MD, PhD. It's pretty unusual, right? Or I don't know, for students to go straight through to an MD, PhD, right? Because I think a lot of the folks that I was talking to when I was looking into it, like usually take a couple of years off in between. Is that true?
Yeah. And that's kind of true across the board. It seems like for medical schools now is that people are getting older and just having a wider breadth of experiences before coming in. Yeah. So yeah, I would say my situation is a little obscure in the sense of our cohort that has joined. Maybe at least 70% of people took a gap year or 2 or 3. Like it kind of has become more of the norm because a lot of people don't know what they want to do with their life until much later. And Stephanie, it's awesome that you kind of have this clear vision of what you want to do.
She sure does. She hasn't wavered from this, even though our advice to her in the last show basically boiled down to slow down, girl. Enjoy life a little bit. Look, I can respect that. You know, she knows what she wants. She knows what she wants, and she's going to go for it. I personally have never known what I want. I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, and so here I am.
Yeah. The benefit for you, Stephanie, is that you are so young and you're already thinking about these things. So it wouldn't actually hurt to kind of build in a gap year or two into your life's vision. It actually might even make you kind of feel happier and allow you more time to explore just things that you're more interested in, because at the end of the day, the MD PhD programs are not just going to look that you did wonderful research. They're going to look that you did wonderful things for yourself as a human, because it's a really long road. It's 7-8 plus years of your life dedicated to this just school training, not including residency. So they want to know that you've been able to live life before that. They want to see that you were able to experience other things outside of just research. And so I would definitely recommend not just looking for jobs, but also looking for fun life experiences that you can throw in there to make yourself.
Well, we already beat that horse for Stephanie, and she clearly is less interested in that. That advice, and that's fine. Stephanie, you go, girl. Well, I wonder if you've been in the PhD phase for what, a year?
No,
2 years?
It's been like 6 months now.
6 months? Okay.
So I'm just finishing up my first semester of grad school classes and such.
Do you have any sense of the downsides of the PhD phase in terms of the speed bumps that you will run into and the roadblocks and things like that in your research?
They're starting to get a lot more clear as you're kind of right in the middle of it. And so I would say some of the roadblocks that I see just kind of mentally coming up in my mind are my friends are starting to think about graduating. They're starting to think about what residencies they want to apply to.
So rude of them.
I know. I'm like, you're going to leave me?
Slow down.
So that has started to become just a little sad to see your friends. You're both really happy for them. You want everything in the world for them, yet you're a little sad because you're thinking, oh, I'm still going to be here for many more years.
I got news for you though.
I'd love it.
The older I get, the less stable everybody is around you in terms of the people who exist in your sphere.
Is that supposed to be comforting?
No. I just want to warn you that becomes less and less of a factor. Like I used to get super depressed in May when all of the my med student buds graduated, and I'd be like, I'm still here. Darn it.
It's like bitter.
And now I'm like, see ya, there's more right behind you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I'll write in my friends' cards when they graduate.
Yeah.
See ya, there's always more.
Don't let the door
of
hit you in the ass. I guess the other thing is, I mean, there's also research roadblocks. I mean, I feel like one of the things I've heard over the years is you've got to be very resilient against disappointment when you're a researcher, a PhD.
Yeah, I had a whole experiment fail last week. Like it just didn't work. And
sometimes it just keeps failing.
And it just keeps failing. And you get to around Thanksgiving break and you're like, all right, I got to try to fit one more thing in. And so, yeah, it definitely takes a huge sense of resiliency. And so for me, that was kind of garnered from sports my whole life and being told, I don't know, you're worthless by coaches, I guess. When I made a bad pass, I'm like, all right, cool. Well, if they said it, people aren't going to tell me things that bad in research. So cells can't hurt me that bad. And so I would say looking for ways in which you can build resiliency, especially just like through research and through failure. There's something to be said that failure is like the most important learning aspect to being human. And seeking it out can actually be really beneficial, because the more times you realize that you will fail, the more you realize that when you're worried about failing in the future, it's not that scary.
Yeah, if I could psychoanalyze Stephanie here for a minute. She's a go-getter. She knows what she wants. She's got definite ideas about her path and what her life is going to be like. And so, I'm happy to give her the warning that not everything goes smoothly in the PhD phase, and you don't discover amazing things, and you don't, change the world necessarily. But you're going to learn a lot still about how to do research and how to be, a scientist. And that's the real goal. I think.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't you think?
That's the whole goal of a PhD. Nobody tells you that until you get there, but nobody cares what you discover. It's did you become a good researcher at the end of it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what papers you wrote. It's in some ways. It does. Okay, I shouldn't say it. That's
does, but it doesn't.
me trying to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
No, but it definitely matters more. Did you learn the skills that it takes to be a genuinely good researcher and to think critically about the world and medicine around you?
Yep. Listeners, if you ask us a question, it means that I don't have to make something up to talk about on the show, and the show becomes what you want it to be. So send your questions to theshortcoats@gmail.com or leave a message at 347-SHORT-CT. We'll talk about it on the show. Did we hit all of her questions?
I mean, we could talk about pre-med jobs.
Yeah, I think that would be another one just to expand upon, just not MD, PhD jobs. There are paid research jobs, so try to seek those out for those that are interested in research, but
never do research for free. If someone the work that you do as an undergraduate researcher is like so valuable.
Absolutely.
And I think, and I mean, I myself is like got conned into doing research for free at like my freshman and sophomore years, and then like my junior and senior years, I was like, oh wait, I can get paid actually a pretty decent amount of money for contributing because you are a big part of that team. So.
Yeah, my PI in undergrad said never do anything for free. I think like in general as a pre-med and now as med students, our time is way too valuable for people to take advantage of it. And obviously things like volunteering your time are important, but if there's times where you can get paid, you should get paid because we're all valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Ethan, what did you do?
As a job?
Yeah, for jobs.
Yeah, so Stephanie, first of all, I want to say if I had like an inkling of your drive and ambition when I was 17, my life would have been probably a lot different. So kudos to you. I just remember being in a constant state of vertigo up and maybe till like last year in terms of like, basically my life has not been that structured. So kudos to you. But in terms of jobs, the PA school and PA schools across the country are a little bit different in the fact that they will set a requirement for the number of patient care hours that you're supposed to achieve before starting school.
It's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot, and it increases every year. And it's kind of one of those deals where they're like, yeah, we require 1,000 or we require 500, and then you look at the school's average and it's like 8,000. So yeah. But so I kind of got lucky because I more or less started accumulating those hours before I was like set in stone and doing the PA path in the first place. So what I did in undergrad, I believe when I was a sophomore, was I worked at a plasma donation center, and it's like still to this day, like my favorite job of all time. Like I want to talk to sophomore year Ethan, just be like, oh my God, I look up to you so much. But basically it was your job. It's honestly kind of a manufacturing job more than anything because you're taking this plasma that'll be harvested and then it'll be made into pharmaceuticals for patients for a plethora of reasons. But basically your job, besides impaling people with a needle, is to talk to strangers for 10-minute bouts at a time, all day, every day, whether you want to or not that particular day. So if that's something you're interested in, it was really fun.
Really selling it.
Yeah, yeah. So
introverts are hating this.
Yes,
right now.
I loved it. Although we had a ton of introverts as well. So that's a job that I am super thankful for.
I would have enjoyed that.
Honestly,
that sounds like
I
a
like
great job.
talking to people.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
That's like microdosing conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it's
perfect.
great. But yeah, so that was really fun. And then I did that for a couple years, and then I moved on to work in an emergency room as an ER tech. So I got my EMT around that time. But we certainly had techs that, Stephanie, are around your age, like 18, maybe 19 years old. And again, that was a super valuable experience that I draw upon in school daily. So yeah, there's a lot of options. What about you guys?
Yeah. A lot of my jobs actually were outside of the medical field. I guess a pro / I don't know, something different than the PA path is that we didn't have you don't have explicit requirements, and so you can kind of dabble around, do random odd things here and there. Right. Like I was a resident assistant my sophomore year, which I thought that was like an infinitely valuable experience to be tasked with the care of 38.
Yes, it was very important. The very important task of ignoring the alcohol violation.
Being like, I don't see it.
Yes, la 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 la.
Knowing when and where to step in. It's all very valuable.
No, to be genuine about it first.
Yeah, it actually is.
It actually was. Yeah, like you gotta have a lot of like hard, challenging conversations with folks. Like people coming to you with advice, and you're like, I'm a year older than you. Like I'm not that dramatically, but I had a different headspace. But yeah, so I did that. Did a lot of research work as well. I think that's always something super valuable when you're going the MD route. What did you do?
Also a lot of research. For a little bit, I was thinking MD, PhD as well. So
it calls us all.
It does.
I mean, it's a siren off in the distance that you know you shouldn't swim to. But
It's always something to consider, right?
Yeah. The first time you do research and actually do some good research, and you're like, "Whoa, this is amazing."
Yeah. And then you, for me, it was I did my first like project where I had to go through the IRB and like see it through, and I was like, this is it. I was like, I can't do this the rest of my life.
I've heard there's no bureaucracy whatsoever involved in it.
It's famously really straightforward.
Of course,
yeah, famously no politics at all.
Yeah.
Like, nothing.
But one thing that I like absolutely love doing in undergrad, another thing that wasn't as like straightforward as a lot of med students experiments, is for 3 years I was a tutor, and I was an engineer as an undergrad, which was also, I guess there's a few engineers in our cohort, but sure. I was a tutor for the engineering department, and it was really cool because it was kind of like drop-in office hours almost. So people would be coming in and be like, I have no clue what I'm doing, and so then it was kind of like a quick little way to be like, all right, calm down. We got you. Let's work through this.
That's fantastic.
I've noticed like a lot of it.
Med school, to be honest.
Just hear it for yourself. Yeah.
I know. A lot of it's been coming out like when I'm talking to like VSPs for like CAPS and like other patients.
They're the simulated patients or standardized patients.
Yeah, so I guess SPs come in and like they're actors, I guess, and they come in with their own like set of issues, kind of like you're talking to an actual patient. But it was good practice having people come in that are just worried. They're like, they don't know what's happening, and you can work them through it. And obviously half the job is getting them to a point where they're like competent and comfortable, but the other half is just making sure that they're like happy, I guess, or because it's really easy to get stressed. I mean, in med school, we get stressed all the time, right? But having somebody else be like, I understand you, I'm with you, I feel you, is even like more valuable than just being taught something. Because as soon as you know that somebody else is in your position, then it's easier to learn once you feel like your position's justified. So that was a super valuable experience. I loved that so much. And I'm really hoping that it continues to make me a better clinician.
Yeah,
that's a good pick.
Yeah, and I think too that's like a good recommendation, is that your jobs don't have to explicitly be in like medicine. It certainly can help. You know, I think like a lot of adcoms though, that's all they're probably going to be seeing is people who have worked in, you know, whatever, as like a CNA or whatever. And so I think that's a very and I mean a lot of people apply because it is a good experience, but I think don't be afraid to have job experiences that are outside of that wheelhouse as well, because those can be really valuable learning experiences. And there's always like research, volunteering, and stuff that gets you some of that more clinical exposure as well.
I think my guess is that the good pre-med jobs are ones that demonstrate your ability to take on responsibility, ones that demonstrate your ability to interact with other people, and just basically demonstrate that you are a positive influence on your world. And so if you find a job that has all three of those, that just because it's not a medical or medical adjacent job, it's probably still a pretty good job. When I was a student at UMass, I was a bus driver, and then I became the head of the special transportation service, the vans for people with disabilities. And then I became a trainer, and then I became the head of the training department, and then I quit all of that glamorous stuff to come here.
Climbed up the corporate ladder.
But the point is that there was an increasing level of responsibility and expertise required. And so I think that would be, among the jobs that people would be like, oh, that's interesting to me that you had this set of responsibilities in your previous life. It wouldn't be so crazy to think that person could become a med student,
right?
Or
it's always all about how you spin it, how you write about it.
It always
as
is.
Well.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said too. Like oftentimes we forget medicine is a service industry.
Yeah,
we are giving service to others. So if you find any job that is within the service industry, like a common one could be like being a waiter or waitress, like that is a service to other people. You learn how to communicate with people. You learn how to take responsibility, and
how to
you
manage
can
emotions.
easily manage emotions. You can easily gain something valuable from that experience that will make you a better physician in the future. So don't just limit yourself to medical jobs unless you really genuinely like love that and want to do that. But again,
Stephanie's all about that, but it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be
that way.
Kind of bouncing off that, another thing to say is obviously there's a lot of pre-med jobs and a lot of pre-med opportunities. And one thing that I don't think can be said enough is to make sure that whatever you're doing, you really enjoy doing. There's enough things to do that, and obviously sometimes you have to jump through the hoops, and even if you don't want to, you have to wake up at 8 a.m. for a volunteer shift you're just hating. But you need to enjoy what you're doing. And if you enjoy every job you have, even if it's a job, like it'll show that you enjoy what you're doing when it comes to waking up in the morning and actually doing it to the time that you get to interviews and you're talking about those experiences you've had. You can have that passion that the admissions committees are actually looking for.
Right. Plus it's always nice to enjoy your time. Right. Life is what until happens. Medical school.
Yeah. Then it's just pure suffering.
This is what's going on between the milestones, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point, Matt.
Yeah. Anything else we want to tell Stephanie? Did we?
Best of luck, Stephanie.
Yeah. Stephanie sounds awesome already as a 17-year-old. She sounds pretty cool.
You're like my inspiration.
Yeah.
Stephanie, you're getting after it. The only thing I would add is go Knights.
Go Knights.
Go Knights.
Shortcoats, if you're enjoying our conversation today, I'd be grateful if you'd let people know by posting a story on Instagram or Facebook or tweeting about us. And don't forget to tag us in your post.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you guys a little pop quiz.
Oh, sick.
A little pop quiz about.
There's not enough of those.
I mean, there really isn't.
School.
There really isn't.
Thought that we'd get through one Friday without a test, but here we are.
Nope. You. We're doing a test.
I'm ready.
So this is about Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving history. Let's see if you know the things that I found out from various, I'm assuming, reliable internet sources.
Okay.
All right. Which was not a feature of the early years of Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City? Was it A, floats featuring humans dressed as turkeys being carved for dinner? B, pushing the tradition of Ragamuffin Day into obscurity? C, Santa being crowned as King of the Kitties? Or D, live monkeys, bears, and elephants?
This question is so upsetting that there are 3 of these that are true.
See, that's a really great question asking format because it requires you to know all of the things, right? It's great question design, Dave.
Or just to know which one is the most unlikely.
Right. It's again great question design.
I think in order to answer that question, I would have to know in the second question foil what a ragamuffin is. Does anyone know what that is?
Ragamuffin is I guess it's probably an archaic term for an unkempt child.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
No, I mean that's what it is.
Okay,
I think it has a connotation of sort of poor children. But I think any child who's just dirty and tousled and unkempt could be called a ragamuffin. Affectionately.
Yeah. Right.
I think I'm really doubting that humans were being dressed as turkeys and being practiced carved on for dinner.
I mean, I'm assuming it wouldn't be real.
That'd be pretty metal if it was real.
Yeah. I know, but
I want it to be real.
The screams of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Who's doing the carving? And to the human, is somebody running at the human with a knife?
They probably had somebody dressed up in a black buckle hat and shoes. And
It
probably.
could have been one of us.
Yeah.
It could have been one of us.
That's actually where I'm going after this pod.
Gotta make it to the parade.
Yeah,
okay, team. Do we have an answer? We have A.
I'm going with B personally.
Can't be real.
I'm going with B.
Okay. The answer is A. Floats featuring humans dressed as turkeys being carved for dinner. That was not a thing. Ragamuffin Day in New York City was an activity for children between 1870 and 1920 that involved trick-or-treating while costumed as poor people. The whole tradition had kind of come to annoy New York City adults, especially in the 1930s Depression. And the Thanksgiving Day was pushed as an alternative to this sort of annoying tradition.
Interesting.
At the end of the parade, which also featured animals borrowed from the Central Park Zoo, Santa was enthroned as King of the Kitties at Macy's on 34th Street.
That's very upsetting.
King of the Kitties.
That's disturbing to you, Riley. I can tell.
Yeah, it's all Santa in general is, as an adult, already kind of like a pedophilic figure.
Yeah.
I don't love it already. Kids sitting on his lap. Who's this person? I don't know.
Okay.
It's very King of the Kitties.
Hot take from Riley.
Not a hot take. Look at any photo.
I come here for the hot takes.
Pedophilic? Not even though. I mean, he just comes to your house unannounced when you're sleeping. It's not that bad.
There's
nothing wrong with that at all.
All right, maybe it is a red flag, I guess. All right.
I mean, he sees you when he's sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
I mean,
I have been naughty. I have been. Okay.
Yeah. All normal.
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine, like, nowadays, being like, hey, we're going to have a parade and we're going to get some bears and shit from the zoo. And we're going to just, we're going to come through the street. And I'm sure nothing is dangerous about that.
Right.
No.
And the lawyers being like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
As long as you don't own the bears, then you don't own them. I mean,
exactly. Maybe the bears were for like population control for the ragamuffin antagonists.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, they would feed. They're like, enough out of you.
Stick them on the
children.
Yeah. Wait till you see this.
Go pet that bear. Right. All right. Next question. What song was originally written for Thanksgiving? Winter Wonderland, Jingle Bells, or Let It Snow?
I just want to let everyone know that I am singing Jingle Bells in my head right now, trying to know which words are in there.
Or maybe with Let It Snow, personally.
I like Let It Snow as well.
I feel like Winter Wonderland would be a good Thanksgiving song.
Okay. And Riley?
Jingle Bells is just, both of the other ones touch on the weather, and it's just can't be that snowy in
Well, that's because it's only because of climate change.
Yeah. That's true. I didn't take it. I gotta
think about 1950.
Go back to when time. Yeah.
So I was born in Nebraska. So yeah.
I'm gonna go Jingle Bells just to be different.
Okay.
Quirky.
The answer is Jingle Bells.
Wow.
2 for 2.
MDPHD. 2 for 2.
Yeah. One Horse Open Sleigh was its original title, composed by James Pierpont in 1857 for children to sing on Thanksgiving, and it was such a hit that it was still being sung around Christmas. 2 years later, it was renamed to Jingle Bells.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm full of internet acquired knowledge from yesterday afternoon.
Maybe the most I've learned all week.
Yeah. All right, number 3. On Thanksgiving, we're supposed to be giving thanks. Which president thought that this was the most ridiculous idea ever conceived and refused to declare it a holiday? Was it Abraham Lincoln, who felt there was little for Americans to be thankful for during the Civil War? Thomas Jefferson, who was vehemently opposed to it as an official holiday, as the prayers for thanks business would be a violation of the separation of church and state? Or was it George Washington, whose teeth were so bad he didn't care about such a food-centric holiday?
Feeling A or B? What are we feeling?
Yeah, it's definitely not feeling C.
Not feeling C.
Well, he did have bad teeth, is according to the history.
Did he have any teeth? I thought they all fell out.
Well, they were wood. Yeah, he famously had wooden teeth, which probably is not true.
Dentists love that.
I think that's probably not true. I think he did not have wooden teeth.
Yeah.
Would have been cool though.
I feel like I've read that was a
lie.
It's like the precursor to grills.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like the next TikTok sensation. Wood
Guaranteed.
Teeth. Wood teeth challenge.
Finally, my big TikTok idea.
What do you think, Matt? Do you have any idea?
I'm thinking B. It sounds close. Also, like somewhere in the back of my mind thought that Lincoln had something to do with Thanksgiving, but in a good way, not a bad way. So
it's dirty in a good way. We'll see if
I'm making it up. I guess in a good way for Thanksgiving, not in a good way for like the world.
I want to be clear. Like the origins of Thanksgiving are, they're apocryphal. They're a mix of apocrypha and just revision and all this kind of stuff. I still like Thanksgiving. So, don't at me for, putting Thanksgiving on blast here. Okay. I just,
No, I think Thanksgiving, like the origination of it is definitely can be put on blast.
Yeah.
I think we've taken it and run with it.
I feel like the whitewashing of the whole idea can be put on blast a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. We can put that on blast.
Absolutely.
So did we come up with
I'll go with A, personally.
I'm going to go with B, and I'm trying to go through the script of Hamilton to remember what Thomas Jefferson was and was not for, but it's a 2-hour play.
I'm going to echo anything Riley says, so I will also go with B.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Wow.
Okay. It was Thomas Jefferson who was vehemently opposed to it as an official holiday. Also, since George Washington's presidency, Thanksgiving had to be declared every year by the president until Abe Lincoln declared it a national holiday in 1963.
So I was right.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
were.
were.
FDR messed with the timing of Thanksgiving to lift the economy in 1939 during the Great Depression, moving it to the second to last Thursday. Right now, it's, of course, the last Thursday. So people had more time to shop before Christmas, and then everybody got pissed off and confused and just did it the usual way. So there's that. Anyone from nobody here from Indianapolis?
Nope.
So that's good. In that city, that's good for the purposes of this question. In Indianapolis, there's a newish annual tradition of doing what with turkey corpses? A, dressing it up like a baby, lighting it on fire, and then throwing it down a football field. B, dangling a turkey from a helicopter over the Indiana Central Canal and allowing the citizenry to shoot it with a bow and arrow for prizes. C, dressing a turkey up as a rich person and prosecuting it for tax evasion.
Well, that would never happen in the
Or
US.
D, teams compete by tying them to rockets and firing them into the sky to see which team can get the farthest.
B is like a public safety problem.
Oh, I was going to say that was...
So that's probably right.
What?
I would say at least 3 of these are kind of public safety problem, but okay.
I mean, yes, I agree. But like the bow and arrow, I'm picturing people on either side of the river.
Oh, I'm picturing them on one side of the river.
Oh, well, I'm picturing both sides and like arrows being shot, and people are not that great at shooting bow and arrow.
Also, they're shooting it at a helicopter. I feel like that's a slight issue for the
That's
pilot.
what I should be focusing on.
I think we can basically deduce that no matter what it was conceived in a drunken state.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go with B, personally. Although, I guess the helicopter bit's throwing me off. I feel like it was just like a crane or something that would be very viable. But, I don't know. That's me personally.
Okay.
That's just what I imagine would be a fun activity.
Yeah.
I think Midwesterners love fireworks.
They do.
So I'm thinking D. Like, that seems the most like a Midwesterner.
Okay.
I feel like D sounds the coolest, so I hope it's D.
I also agree with D for a couple reasons. First of all, Midwesterners love destroying things, but I also don't think they're that skilled to reach a helicopter with a bow and arrow. So
You think in general, Midwesterners are incapable of hitting a turkey with a bow and arrow from a distance.
Well,
from that distance.
Now, before we know, I just want to also acknowledge A, dressing the turkey corpse up like a baby, lighting it on fire, and throwing the lit baby turkey down a football field.
Well, it's not a baby turkey. It's a turkey dressed like a baby.
Baby turkey.
A baby, yeah. Well, I feel like, two different...
Baby that is now... Turkey that is now baby.
Turkey baby.
Turkey baby.
Turkey dressed baby. Yeah.
Also, I couldn't imagine somebody trying to throw a full-size turkey like a football. Like, I feel like that's got to be really bad on the shoulder.
True.
Well, it depends on how big,
I was thinking like a full-size butterball turkey. Like, I couldn't throw that thing very far.
Well, that's a you problem.
Double hand.
Is that the prompts problem, or is
I'll have to go home and buy a turkey and see how far I can throw it.
It's like shot put, but with
Riley, should we lock in an answer?
Yeah, D.
You heard it here first.
All right. The answer is A, dressing it up like a baby, lighting it on fire, and then throwing it down a football field. Participants dress their turkeys in onesies, attach their birds to a long chain, douse it with lighter fluid, and sling it the length of a football field because that's what drunk people do in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Cattle.
So there you go. Huh. I should have looked for a YouTube video on this. Should I?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Can we please?
That's the good thing about a podcast is it's actually a visual medium.
Yeah. Now I'm just like, I need to know. Come on.
Could be used in the court of law.
Yeah.
I can't believe this
What
is
are my
real.
search terms? Indianapolis
Baby turkey.
fire turkey. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything.
Do you think people on the internet just lied?
That's not possible.
I don't know
that doesn't happen. Come on.
I doubt that.
All right. Thanksgiving in England was dedicated to fasting, prayer, and supplication to God. Why did it become a feast holiday featuring pilgrims and Native Americans dining together in the U.S.? Was it A, tourism, B, anti-immigrant sentiment, C, famine, or D, the pilgrims were just really cool and had a really chill vibe?
It's not D.
Wow.
I'm going to choose D for just because it says really chill vibe. Pilgrims, not so chill, but...
I don't think their vibes were chill either. Personally.
No, I just like the phrase. Yeah. Vibes, not chill, not cool.
Well, B, personally.
I feel like B is a good one.
It's not A.
Ditto.
It's not A.
It's not A.
It's not A. It's not C. I mean,
And B. The opposite.
No, I'm not declaring that it's not C. I'm just wondering why you discarded that.
Well, I mean, I guess
you think it would be kind of. You think it would be kind of. It would lack taste or something like. Oh, we had this famine.
Remember when?
And then we turned it into a feast holiday. I mean, that's kind of gross.
I'm going with C. Isn't that like the story that there was like a
fed us?
Yeah.
You buy that?
Well,
I mean, no, but like that's what it became a feast holiday because of, like the folklore that they came and fed the people for famine. So I think it is famine.
I think it is anti-immigrant sentiment.
I feel like even if it is anti-immigrant sentiment, they wouldn't want to display that. They wouldn't be like, "Oh, this is the reason we have Thanksgiving."
It would be, but that could be the reasoning behind it. Like it's there.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just give you the answer. The answer is A and B, although I can see an argument for C. It's both A and B, tourism and anti-immigrant sentiment. A little trick there. I didn't give you that.
All that apply. That's
there you go again, Dave. There you go.
In 1769, a group of New Englanders in Plymouth felt that their cultural supremacy was waning as New England's top spot among the colonies. And wanted tourists to come visit, so they started telling everyone that pilgrims were the fathers of America who loved a good feast. The idea really took hold in the 19th century when Americans were freaking out about Catholics and Jews immigrating to the U.S., leading to propaganda about the founding of the country being Protestants and definitely not Jews and Catholics. So there you go. It's a fun holiday. It's a fun holiday. You know what I'm saying?
Filled with anti-immigration sentiment.
I don't say, what's the problem with all of this? Thanksgiving? No, this is no.
I do like the irony of having a holiday about, immigrating to a new country and getting along with the locals and then causing it to be an anti-immigration sentiment.
Yeah.
Irony doesn't exist in America.
Yeah, it's just mean.
Are we going to enjoy our Thanksgiving now? Absolutely we are.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's what we're stuck with. We're stuck with this problematic holiday. Let's just enjoy it.
As long as there's good food there and good times and good family.
And chill vibes. Yeah.
And chill vibes.
Chill vibes. Chill vibes. I threw that in because that's what my daughter would say.
Right.
My 13-year-old would say.
But she's got
really chill vibe.
Yeah. It's the vibe.
She has chill vibes. That's all I have for this show today. Noah, Riley, Ethan, Matt, thanks for being here with me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having us.
And what kind of tragically burnt pecan pie would I be if I didn't thank you, Short Coats, for making us a part of your holiday week? If you're new here and you like what you heard today, follow the show wherever fine podcasts are available, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You might not know we're on YouTube, but we are. Our editors are AJ Chowdhury and Eric Bozart. The show is made possible by a generous donation by Carver College of Medicine student government and ongoing support from the Writing and Humanities program. Our music is by Dr. Vox and Catmosphere. I'm Dave Etler saying, don't let the bastards get you down. Talk to you in 1 week. Hi, Short Coats. Look, life in medical education, life in America, life in the world is often difficult. And I often wish I could help. All I have is this podcast, but in my wildest dreams, you have the support you need to lead a life of your choosing. You deserve to be happy, healthy, and successful in whatever ways you define those words. So if you need support because you've experienced racism, discrimination, harassment, mental health crises, I want you to be able to get the help that you need.
And so I'm going to put some links in the show notes to some resources that you can use. But the bottom line is that for what it's worth, I see you. I know you're out there. I wish I could do more. Maybe I can in ways that I don't understand yet or know about. But I see you, and I'm glad you're here, and other people are too.